It all began with a glance, an innocent, fleeting moment. My eyes met hers, and something shifted inside me that I couldn't explain. I didn't know her name. I didn't know where she came from. But in that brief instant, I felt like I knew her in a way that made my heart race, my thoughts spin. There was something in the air that told me she was someone special, but that's the thing. Sometimes you meet someone and you just feel it in your soul that you need to know more about them. And that was exactly what happened with her. She wasn't someone who demanded attention, yet somehow, she had everyone's gaze on her when she entered the room. There was no need for loud gestures or trying to be noticed. She simply was. It wasn't just the way she moved or the way she looked. It was the way she felt, like she was someone I needed to know, someone I couldn't ignore. My mind was racing, but all I could think was one thing. Who is she? I found myself searching for her in every crowd, every passing face, hoping to catch just another glimpse of her. I didn't even know why, but something about her stayed with me, almost like she had imprinted herself into my mind in a way I couldn't erase. It wasn't just her eyes, though they were captivating. Her eyes held something deeper, something I couldn't put into words. Or maybe it was her laugh, that soft, effortless laugh that lingered in the air long after she stopped laughing. Every time I thought about her, I kept asking myself, what is it about her? Maybe it was the fact that she seemed so unaware of the effect she had on people. There was no arrogance in her demeanor, no attempt to make others notice her. She didn't try to be special, she simply was. And that was what intrigued me the most. How could someone so effortless be so magnetic? I didn't even know her name, but that didn't matter. She had already captured my thoughts, and I couldn't push her out of my mind. Now it wasn't just curiosity, it was something deeper. I wanted to know her. I needed to know her. Who is she? The question echoed in my mind every single day. I started looking for her in every corner of every room I entered, hoping to see her once again. And when I did, it felt like the whole world clicked back into place. She was just there, standing, unaware of the storm of thoughts and emotions she had sparked inside me. I still didn't know her name, but at that moment, I knew I had to find out more. This couldn't just fade away into nothing. I thought about approaching her, but what if she didn't feel the same way? What if I was just another stranger to her, someone she would forget as soon as I walked out of her life? The thought stung, but it also made me realize something important. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. This was real. I needed to know if she felt what I felt. And so I decided I would do something about it. I would talk to her. I would find out who she really was, and whether this feeling I had was just a fleeting attraction or something that could grow into something more. I couldn't keep wondering if she even noticed me. Did she? Was I just another face in the crowd to her? Or had she noticed me too? Every time she laughed, every time she spoke to someone else, I wondered if I had been on her mind even for a split second. But instead of staying quiet, I knew I had to take action. So I gathered my courage, steeled my nerves, and moved closer to her. She was right there, just a few feet away. My heart was pounding and my mind was blank. I had imagined this moment so many times, but now that it was real, I couldn't think of anything to say. All I knew was that I had to speak, to break the silence that seemed to stretch endlessly between us. Before I could say anything, she turned toward me, and for the first time, our eyes locked. There was something in that gaze, something that flickered between us. It was brief, but it felt real. It wasn't just a casual glance. It was a moment of silent recognition, a fleeting connection that neither of us could ignore. She didn't look away, and that gave me hope. There was something in her eyes that told me I wasn't just another stranger to her. Maybe she didn't know me, but for that brief moment it felt like she saw me, really saw me. I had to find out if that connection meant something. With a deep breath, I asked the question that had been burning inside me. Who are you? Her response took me by surprise. She didn't just answer immediately. She paused, as if she was deciding whether to speak or not. Then she smiled softly and asked me, "Why do you want to know?" I wasn't expecting that. I had thought she'd just give me her name, maybe even offer a friendly smile. But now she was challenging me. Why did I want to know? What was I really after? The question threw me off for a moment, but I realized that it wasn't just about asking her name, it was about something deeper. I was trying to understand her, trying to find out if there was more between us than just the surface-level attraction I felt. So, I answered honestly, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Her eyes narrowed slightly in amusement, and she raised an eyebrow. Oh, she said, and what exactly have you been thinking? I hesitated, but only for a second. That I should have spoken to you sooner. Her smile widened, and for a moment it felt like the world around us faded away. It was just me, standing there, facing her, and her, looking back at me. The connection was undeniable. There was something more between us, something that was pulling me toward her in a way I couldn't explain. She studied me for a moment, her expression unreadable. I couldn't tell what she was thinking, but I knew that I had to keep pushing forward, to see where this moment would take us. Finally, she spoke again, and her voice was softer now. You should have, she said, her lips curling into a slight smile. But you're here now. It was an invitation, a chance to keep the conversation going. I had taken a risk, and it seemed like it was paying off. In that moment, I realized that this wasn't just some passing attraction. This was real. She was different from anyone I had met before. She wasn't trying to impress anyone or fill every silence with meaningless chatter. She was calm, confident, and completely in control of the moment. She wasn't just a stranger. She was someone I wanted to know on a deeper level. And so I gathered my thoughts, took a deep breath, and asked again, "Who are you?" This time, she didn't answer right away. She tilted her head slightly as if deciding how much to reveal. I guess that depends, she replied, her tone playful. Are you asking because you're curious, or because you're hoping I'll be someone you want me to be? That question threw me off again, but in a way I liked it. She wasn't making this easy for me. She wasn't going to just give me everything I wanted to know because I asked. She was making me work for it, and I respected that. It meant she valued herself, she knew her worth, and that only made me want to know her even more. I'm asking because I really like you, I said, and for the first time, I realized how true those words were. There was no turning back now. This wasn't just about curiosity or infatuation. It was something real, something deeper. She wasn't just another person in the crowd. She was someone who had taken root in my heart and mind, and I wasn't ready to let go of that feeling. As I stood there, waiting for her response, I couldn't help but wonder if she might feel the same way. Did she feel the same pull? Was she just as intrigued by me as I was by her? And as I waited for her to answer, I realized one thing for sure. I really like her. And I wasn't about to let this moment slip away without knowing if this was just the beginning of something more.